Today I'm here because this morning something bad happened. It's the thing that we all dread happening. I woke up, I came to my kitchen sink to wash my hands and heard a splash. Opened up the doors underneath and sure enough, the faucet had leaked all over the inside of the cabinet. Hey everybody, welcome back to Sawdust and Cornbread. I'm Laura Lee. If this is your first time watching, be sure to like and subscribe. I put out new content every week. I made sure that it wasn't a drainage issue or it wasn't the sprayer, it was the faucet itself. Now when we got this faucet, it came as a kit or as a set with the sink that we installed with our new counters. We weren't that impressed with the faucet. You know, it's kind of a cheaper brand. It just didn't look good quality. But we figured we'll go ahead and use it since it came with the sink until it wears out. And it wore out about 1.5 years later. This is a single hole faucet, so I'm going to have to replace it with a single hole faucet. Of course, I could probably just replace cartridges or gaskets or something like that. But with the quality of this sink, I think we're going to be better off getting a good brand, something like Moen or Delta, that has lifetime replacement parts so that if this happens again, it's easy just to get a replacement part. They send it in the mail in no time. I've always had good experiences with those two brands. So I'm off to the store to find a replacement. I've gotten all of the water cleaned up, and let's see what we can find. After a quick search online, I decided to take a ride to our local Lowe's, and boy, do they have a wide selection of kitchen faucets in all kinds of finishes with different features. I would like to keep the faucet under $150. I did find a few models I liked. This is a Moen here, and I found a Delta. This one's $189 with the brushed chrome finish. The shiny regular chrome finish is $169. This is $19 more than what I wanted to spend, but I really like the features, and looking at some of the other models, this is probably the most reasonable price I'm going to find at this point. I like the different spray features, and it comes with a soap dispenser that matches, which is nice because we have an existing soap dispenser. Luckily, they had 3 of them in stock. Faucets are expensive these days. It looks like we're not going to get by with getting one for less than $150 as far as one that comes with a lifetime guarantee. I decided to go with the one at Lowe's. Home Depot really didn't have anything at a good price, so I'm going with a Delta model. Before I go and pick that up, I'm going to go ahead and disconnect our faulty faucet so that everything will be ready when I come home. Hopefully it'll be smooth sailing. We're having company for dinner tonight. My daughter's making homemade calzones in about 4 hours. Hopefully I can get this all done before then. So let's get everything disconnected on the sink that is broken. You want to make sure to clear the space you're going to work in and definitely have a towel, possibly even a bucket at hand, because when you disconnect the water lines, sometimes they leak. I'm finding here the connections for the water lines. You have a cold and a hot. The one there to the left goes to the dishwasher. It's not an incoming water line, it's outgoing, so I'm not going to worry about that. I'm going to turn the hot and the cold completely off, and again, make sure that that towel is close by. Now, before I do any further work, I'm going to check the faucet, make sure that the water is completely off on the hot and the cold. I'm going to follow this feed line here underneath the sink. All of these have to be disconnected in order for me to remove the existing faucet. So what I'm doing here is I'm just going to use my fingers, if possible. I might have to grab some pliers to loosen up these existing water lines. They have to be completely free of each other in order to feed up through the sink hole. Once I have that disconnected, there are a few other parts here that have to be disconnected. This is a weight that is on one of the lines to keep it from pulling all the way up. So I'm going to remove, or actually loosen, the screws on each side of this existing weight so that I can free that in order to take it completely off so that can feed up through the hole once I remove the faucet. Next is a frustrating part. Up at the top, there's usually a clamp holding the sink to, or the faucet to the sink. You have to get up there in this tight spot and loosen those screws enough that you'll be able to rotate that clamp all the way off of that pipe. I never have understood why they make these pipes, the threads on them, so long, because it takes a long time to thread anything off or on these pipes. I've never seen a sink that thick. Perhaps if it was ceramic, it would need to be that thick. But at any rate, it takes a little bit of patience, but eventually you will get that thing off. Once that sink clamp is finally all the way off, you can get down to business removing the sink. You just slide everything off of the end of the disconnected hose, then come up to the top of the sink and everything lifts right off in one piece. I'm just going to collect everything that's there at the top of the sink and pull those hoses right out. Now you can see that single hole that the sink's going to be, or the faucet's going to be installed in. I always like to give that a good cleaning while it's open. It's not a bad idea to use some rubbing alcohol to get any sticky residue that might have sunk underneath there, just so you have a fresh, clean start when you begin to put on your new sink. And to give you a little bit of perspective, if we look down in that same hole that we just took the faucet out of, you can see those hoses directly underneath. So here is my new faucet. I'm going to open up the box and make sure everything's there. It's always a good idea to make sure you have everything you need before you begin the project, instead of finding out halfway through that you're missing a screw or a bolt or a washer or something. It's a lot easier to find out now than when you are halfway installing the product. This is the hand sprayer, the detachable part that goes on the end, the actual spray nozzle that goes on the faucet. And then I'm going to take the full body part out of the faucet itself. You can see there's some PEX pipes. This is a different kind of pipe than I had on my other one. They're actually a lot easier to attach. I'm going to put that aside. And if you happen to have a sink, the pre-existing faucet that has 3 holes, this comes with a cover plate so that it'll cover up those holes and you can convert it into one. I won't be needing this, although it would look very nice to cover those existing holes. I'm going from a 1-hole sink and staying at a 1-hole sink, so that won't be necessary for me. I thought you might just want to know that that's available. Here is the new clamp for the sink, or for the faucet to hold it on, and the assembly for that little extra matching soap dish. So I'm going to cut that open, make sure everything's here before I get started, and I think we're good to go. The first order of business is to supply a little washer there to create a seal between the sink surface and the faucet so water doesn't seep underneath there. And there's a little nut that goes on top of that that is going to screw onto the faucet. It's also a nice little shiny chrome or chrome look cover to make everything look nice and seamless when the faucet is installed. You do have to line up, there's 2 little grooves there in the side that have to be in the right place. This is the new weight that will go on those hoses once I get them in through the hole. I'll be doing that from underneath. And as you can see, the faucet sits nicely right on top of that base that we installed. I strongly suggest that you get a helper for this stage of the installation, somebody to hold the top steady while you put on that clamp. Remember the clamp we took off that went on and on and on forever, and how I complained about how long that threaded pipe is that you have to put all of this stuff on? Well, here we go again in reverse. This time we're putting the clamp on there. This one came with a handy dandy tool that helps you screw that down tight once you get toward the top. What I learned, a bit of advice, is begin by doing it by hand. That tool just more or less gets in the way until it's on securely. Now, once the clamp's on, all you have to do is connect those PEX pipes to the hot and cold water. They have handy dandy colors on the bottom, red for hot and blue for cold. Tighten those down. Be sure not to over tighten them because you don't want to strip out that nut. It's a nice secure fit. This is the new weight that I installed there on the bottom that keeps the hose from going back in there. Whenever you're installing one of these faucets that pull down like mine and it has that weight, make sure that you don't tangle that up in the water lines. Be sure that you can pull it free or you'll have a problem. Now I'm just turning the water back on. I'm going to push it on the cold and the hot and go underneath the sink and make sure that there are no leaks in all of my connections. So really there's only 2 connections you're making under the sink, one to the hot, one to the cold. That part is so simple. I like to look and visually scan for any leaks, and I also use my fingers to feel. Next, I'm going to make sure that pull down feature, that everything's free and that it moves easily, and all of the fun spray features that come with the sink. I'm testing them out to make sure everything works properly as well. I'm not getting any commission or anything off of this video, but I will put a link to the exact model in the description just in case you're interested. If you ever have this problem at your house, you can fix it yourself. You can replace the faucet. It's quite easy other than that long threaded tube you need to put the clamp on. Thanks so much for joining me. Be sure to like and subscribe. I put out new material every week. God bless.